Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Nocturne Society. This is the October edition. Tonight, I thought I would do something a little out of character for myself. I'm generally, if you watch the past episodes of this program, I'm a skeptic. So most of the paranormal stuff, I wouldn't say I'm not trying to I'm trying to disprove it, but I'm skeptical of it. So in light of that, most places on Earth are most of the scary locations that I hear about. I wouldn't be too afraid to go there. It wouldn't bother me. I've been on ghost hunts. I've been on with paranormal groups and been to some scary places, and I think I'd be okay. But in light of Halloween, and happy Halloween to everyone, by the way, I thought I would do something and talk about a place I don't ever want to go. There is a place on Earth for sure. I mean, outside of places that are just plain dangerous. Um, but due to the strange activity in there, I would not ever want to go there. Now, and that place is the Skinwalker Ranch in Utah. I don't ever want to go to that place. And the reason being is that, if I saw a ghost in the house or a disembodied person that was once alive, I mean, the idea of grandma walking down the stairs as a apparition doesn't scare me. I mean, it's disturbing, but what if ghosts are real? What could they really do to you? So that doesn't bother me so much. But the things that happen in the paranormal things that happen at the Skinwalker Ranch are just they kind of defy explanation, and it gives this kind of unsettling feeling of something not only with more power than you, but smarter than you and able to toy with you. And it just gives me a bad feeling. So tonight we're going to explain what the Skinwalker Ranch is. I'm going to show a video clip from one of my favorite YouTube channels, Top Fives, that mentioned it in one of their Halloween videos. It's a short clip. It's not very long. And then we'll discuss it. But first I wanted to talk about the Skinwalker Ranch itself and what it is. So if you've never heard of the Skinwalker Ranch, it's a ranch in Utah. It's a cattle ranch in Utah. And the first time I heard about it was on Coast to Coast AM, I believe. Boy, that must have been back in early 2000s, probably. And it really the craziness I heard coming from there was things like, a location that had strange lights, UFO activity, seemingly spectral animals, and Bigfoot. I mean, it literally had everything. It was just like unexplainable things, to the degree that a science team, the family that lived there, they couldn't handle it, and a science team came in and set up shop. It was a restricted area then, and they set up shop and set up cameras, set up science equipment, trying to capture this strange stuff. And all of that got put into a book. And the book is Hunt for the Skinwalker. If you haven't heard it, it is available on Amazon. And so I went and picked the book up and read it. And it was just as disturbing as you think it was. So the beginning of it all was this family moved to the ranch to raise cattle. His big thing was that he raised prize winning, I believe it was Angus cattle. But this was kind of a sacred area and a place that the Indians of the area, the Native Americans, warned people to stay away from, and they didn't go to. It was like because of the strange activity, and they called what was there a skinwalker. And so a skinwalker, let's talk about that. A skinwalker is a shapeshifter basically. It could be, I mean, I think we would think of it as a werewolf, probably. But a skinwalker can, literally kind of wear the skin of what it wants to. And people often describe it as turning into whatever it feels like. And it so it so it can turn into a wolf, it can turn into a bird, it can turn into a Bigfoot, it can turn into whatever it wants to turn into. And that's what the Indians said was there, and that's why it's called Skinwalker, is because the belief is that that is what is is haunting this area, if you want to call it haunting. So in the book, the farmers they move into a home on this ranch, and within a very short amount of time, they got their cattle there, they got everything set up and started to lead their lives, and a wolf walks out of the woods, and they said it was strange because it wasn't acting normal. It was acting, which in my mind would raise alarms that maybe it has rabies. But they said it was acting like it almost had human in contact in the past, and it was like almost tame. And it walked up to them, kind of casually strolled up to them, and they were just looking at it like, what is going on? And then it was like looking at them, and then it walked over to one of their calves that had its head sticking through the fence, and it just casually just walked over to it and just chomped down on its neck. And of course they all freak out. He carries the sidearm, because most ranchers do, pulled the pistol out and unloaded it into the wolf, and the wolf didn't let go. And so he has his son run inside and get their shotgun. And the son runs inside to get the gun. The wolf, in the meantime, lets go and starts walking away. No signs of it bleeding, no signs of it hurt, or in any way stunned that it was shot, and starts walking back towards the woods. The farmer gets the shotgun, starts shooting at it with the shotgun. Pieces of flesh are coming off, and it's still casually walking like no big deal, and just walked off into the woods. No blood trail, and this was just the beginning of it all. The book goes into all kinds of crazy things. Like, so once the scientists came in there, the one part of the book I really remember was that they've been trying to capture, they were having lights going through the home, like orbs of light going, and they said it would feel hot when he gets next to you. And so they were like they're trying to gather proof like any scientist would, and it would always foil them. So one morning they woke up and one of the cameras on the poles outside was smashed or missing. I can't remember if it was smashed or missing. And they thought, we've got it. We finally caught it on camera because we have another camera pointing in that area. So we're going to see what happened to it. And they reviewed the footage, and it was the camera that was in the shot was there 1 second, and the next it was smashed. So it's almost like it didn't exist in time. You know what I mean? And the strange things just continued to where they would see what appeared to be dimensional openings and things stepping through them, UFOs chasing them across fields. It just seems like way more than a person can handle. You know what I mean? So in light of that, let's go over and look at the video from Top 5 now. Like I said, again, I highly recommend this channel. Top 5, it's Top TOP, the number 5, and then S. There's a lot of channels out there copying them and trying to like do similar things, but they are the ones that are, I don't know if they're the original, but they certainly always try to do interesting stuff and always something. They've been kind of getting into crime stuff, but they've been, usually it's something paranormal, UFO, or something related. But okay, so let's take a look. Let me switch over to the desktop here. All right. So like I said, or maybe I didn't say, this is a big list they did for Halloween. It's over an hour long, hour and 32 minutes. And it's this was number 26 on their list of strange things. So let's take a listen here.
Skinwalker Ranch experience. This story was sent in by Maddie. It's not her personal experience, but something that happened to her dad, who we'll call H. H hauls crude oil in southeastern Utah and works very close to the infamous Skinwalker Ranch. When he first started with the company, he and his family were required to watch a documentary on the Skinwalker Ranch, so they were aware of the strange things that happened in the area. H was also warned that if he sees anything out there, smells rotting flesh, or hears strange sounds, he is to shut down his pump and get back into his truck immediately. H went along with the warnings, but didn't really believe any of the stories. A few months later, he was training a new driver, who we'll call Mike, who he had to supervise and offer advice when necessary. Mike hooked up the hose to the tanker trailer, and the two men stood beside the truck, keeping an eye on the pump and waiting for it to fill the tanker, which normally took about half an hour. As they stand there talking, suddenly both men went silent at the same time. They both smelled the unmistakable scent of rotting meat. Immediately, H told Mike to shut down the pump, and both men got into the truck and locked the doors. It was nighttime, so they were in complete darkness. As they sat in the truck, H thought he heard someone whisper his name, and as he looked out of the truck window, he saw a huge wolf-like creature. Both men were terrified, but they knew the protocol, so stayed still and quiet. By now, the smell of rotting flesh was overwhelming, making them feel sick. The wolf apparently circled the truck twice, and on its third trip around, H again heard something saying his name, and the voice sounded like Maddie's mum. He instinctively looked to where the voice was coming from, but as he turned his head, he came eye to eye with the wolf. It was standing on its hind legs and was staring straight at him with glowing eyes. The creature called his name again, but this time H resisted looking, and instead focused on the dash of the truck, and out of the corner of his eye, he saw the wolf get back down on its legs, and the smell disappeared. The two men sat in the truck in stunned silence for about 10 minutes, before getting out and finishing the pump. As they were finishing up, H looked at the opposite ridge, and on top of the hill to the left, he could see the outline of a giant wolf in the moonlight. About a month later, H worked the same well, but this time he was alone. As he waited for the truck to fill, he phoned Maddie's mum, but whilst he was talking to her, he heard a really strange sound, like someone was running their fingernails on the other side of his trailer. He grabbed a metal rod and walked around the front of the truck. Forgetting the protocol of getting in the truck, if he heard strange noises, he went to investigate, and found 3 thin scratches that led from the middle of the huge chrome trailer to the bottom. The scratches were as tall as him. However, in the darkness, H couldn't make out any footprints, so he shrugged it off as him being paranoid because he was alone in the middle of nowhere. He went back to the pump and realised how quiet it had gone. The only sounds he could hear was the pump and his own breathing. Suddenly he heard a hiss from above, on the top of the tanker. Although it didn't sound like an animal hissing, it sounded more like a backwards, distorted record. H looked up and saw what looked like a broken in half sideways human that was covered in spikes. He backed away from the trailer as he stared up at this thing, and its white eyes shone back at him. He didn't know what to do, so just stood there. After about a minute, the creature made the same distorted sound and jumped off the other side of the trailer. However, in less than 10 seconds, H could see the creature standing on the same hill that he had previously seen the wolf on. How it got there in such a short space of time, he had no idea. As H stood and stared at the creature, it crouched down and changed. At first the outline looked like a bird, then a deer, then a wolf. It then stood up on its hind legs and walked off to the other side of the ridge. This was the last straw for H, and he refused to work at that particular well again, and to this day has never gone back. About a year after the incidents, H was asked to train another driver at a different well that was also close to the ranch. Just as the two men finished pumping and got back into the truck, their ears popped at the same time. The trainee who was driving missed a gear, and he stopped the truck. H turned to him, but as he tried to speak, no sound came out. The two men sat in the truck and stared down at the ranch, and they could see a huge light rising from the center of it that looked like someone had just set off a huge firework. The light exploded about 200 feet off the ground, and they just watched as a green wave made its way across the sky towards their truck before stopping just before it reached them. As the green light faded, everything appeared to come back, and the truck started revving so much it was on the verge of overheating. The trainee quickly put the truck into gear and left the area as fast as they could. The next day, he apparently quit. Not long after H found out that a family who lived in a trailer house about a mile from the ranch had recently vanished. Apparently the children had missed several days of school, prompting concerned family members to go and check on them. When they arrived, they found all of the livestock slaughtered, with their bellies ripped open. Inside the trailer, they found the TV still on, pots still on the stove full of old food, and food still on the table. One of the chairs was knocked over, but there was no trace of the family. H doesn't think that there were any investigations into where the family went, because it is not unusual for families who live in close proximity of the ranch to disappear. H still works for the company, but he works during the day now. His co-workers continue to experience strange things when working at the two wells closest to Skinwalker, and several refuse to haul in that area. Maddie's dad told her he believes he met the same Skinwalker on both occasions. He has no explanation for what he saw, but he won't go anywhere near the place at night again. What do you make of this experience?
So, you see what I mean? Very disturbing. Um, what he mentioned there about the things changing shape. He said it was like a bird, and then it was a wolf, and then it was, that is a similar thing I had heard when I was living in Madison, Wisconsin. I don't know if you're familiar in that area. There is something called the Beast of Bray Road, and that is actually a werewolf story in Madison area, Wisconsin area. Let's say that. And there's a road that supposedly there's, werewolf scene crossing the road in front of people. So I had heard some stuff about that, and then at the time when I lived there, someone had said that in the Isthmus there was a story that so the story goes, someone got in a fight with his girlfriend. She threw him out of the house, and he left and started walking, I guess, home, and was walking near the isthmus in Madison. And if you're familiar with what an isthmus is, it's the skinny strip of land between two bodies of water. So there's a road in Madison. There's a road that runs on that, and he was walking along it. It's a popular place for like jogging and biking and stuff like that. And as he was walking, it was nighttime, and someone he looked under one of the streetlights, and there was what appeared to be someone there. And he said then it seemed to like change as he was walking closer. It looked like, no, maybe it was a wolf standing on its hind legs, or a dog, and then it looked like it was on its forelegs. And he said the same thing. He said it appeared like it was changing in front of him, and of course then he got the hell out of there. And so it sounds similar to what that man said he witnessed as well. So I would like to do a more in-depth podcast on this over on Podbean, where we have our podcast going there. But for Halloween, I wanted to at least do a live stream. I've been like, I don't want to give excuses, but I've been like super, super swamped at work. I'm in charge of a team of people, and we've just been buried. So I haven't had time, and it's really such a bad month to miss. So I wanted to at least get a live stream in here. But ultimately, I'd like to maybe refresh myself on the book here. I haven't read it in a while, and get it fresh in my mind and write some stuff up and do a proper podcast. Ironically, when I had the Nocturne Society website back in the early 2000s, I had said the same thing. I had said I don't ever want to go to the Skinwalker Ranch. And ironically, or probably because I said that, I got an invitation to go there, which not not something I took a. I didn't take him up on the offer to go out there, but if we want to take a look here, where the Skinwalker Ranch is, let me switch back to the desktop here. Okay, so it is right where this dot is, apparently, when I searched for it. And I guess the closest town seems to be Roosevelt, Utah. Fort. Oh, well, I guess there's this place, Fort Dushen. I can't pronounce that. But if we zoom clear out, yeah, it is east of Salt Lake City. So I think when I moved to California, we drove down this road, probably. Yeah. So I wasn't actually close to it. But yeah, that's where the Skinwalker Ranch is. So I mean, this is about all I got right now. I'm sorry. I thought maybe some people could join and we get a conversation going, but it didn't happen. It's okay. It was totally impromptu. I did no preliminary. I don't know if you want to say marketing, but to let people know I was doing it. So I'm gonna probably put together a more complete podcast on this, but if you want to pick this book up, I of course get nothing for this. It's just a book I read and would recommend. Hunt for the Skinwalker. It's like, if you want something like real scary, like not like boo scary, but like unsettling. I don't know if I can sleep anymore because these things exist in the world type of scary. Yeah, pick up the book because it's got that. I see there's some kind of series on TV or was about the Skinwalker. I don't know anything about that, so I can't recommend it or not recommend it or so. Anyway, well, it's been about a half an hour stream. Happy Halloween to everyone. Be safe out there with the COVID. I don't know if people are planning on going trick or treating or not. We don't. My girlfriend's youngest is in 8th grade. He's kind of beyond the trick or treating stuff, so I think we're all done with that. But be safe out there, and leave some comments if you want more information or you want me to dive deeper. Let me know. All right. Thanks, everyone.